Welcome to Around the GOJHL. I'm here with former GOJHL coach Pete Crosby. So Pete, tell us what you've been up to the last little while and kind of what you're up to.
Well, since I left Guelph last year, I kind of enjoyed a little bit of an off season. I'm not coaching, but Nathan Harrington gave me a call in the spring about my interest in coaching minor midget, AAA. And I hadn't thought about that for a bit. I wasn't sure what I was going to do, but after talking to him and thinking about it for a week and then meeting the executive members with BMHA, Brantford Minor Hockey, I was really impressed with the direction they're trying to go and what they're trying to do and the programs they have in place. And then I thought back to my years as a coach with the Winterhawks and the Hurricanes. And the one thing I remember a lot is the new kids that we got coming out of major midget or even the 16-year-olds coming out of minor midget that were drafted in the O that we had the pleasure of working with. The one thing I noticed in a lot of these kids was they had the skill. They were missing a little bit of the why they're doing what they're doing, the purpose of what it is that we're trying to do in every drill, what we're trying to teach. And I thought, this might be a good opportunity to go back and work with, your best 15-year-old age players in your area and start to teach them that stuff as well to complement their skill, because their dreams and goals and aspirations are to go to the next level, whether that be Junior B or Tier 2 Junior A or the OHL, or they're vying for scholarships south of the border. And I am a firm believer that if you can teach the why to work with the skill, you get a much better player.
Now, I know you must be keeping track of what's been going on in the GOJHL. Can you give our listeners and our viewers some background? Like, what is the big deal with reclassification? Why is B becoming A such a big deal?
In the past, having been there before, we would lose players that were of very strong talent. And not just talented players, but quality character type players. And there's the belief that you can't get to the next level unless you're playing Tier 2 Junior A. And the Tier 2 Junior A loop, whether it be the CCHL in the Ottawa area or the OJHL in the GTA area, there are some very, very good teams, and you can't dispute that. And there's some very, very good coaches in that league as well. But there are also very, very good coaches and very good teams in the GOJHL, and it's a very competitive league. So we would lose players to that league only because of the letter A. And at one point, everybody was Junior B. And then the OJ kind of broke away, and they formed their own league, and they put the A moniker on it. They called themselves Tier 2, so they weren't OHL. They're still Junior A, but Tier 2 Junior A. Tier 2 is Junior B. Mm-hmm. But if you're losing athletes because of a letter and not because of the quality of your program, and there are amazing programs in the GOJHL that do a tremendous job. I mean, look at Stratford. Look at all the players that graduated onto the next level, whether that be the OHL, whether that be scholarships in the NCAA or the NHL. You look at Elmira. You look at Caledonia. You look at these great programs that have done so well. Because they have B behind their name makes them a less of a program than a program that has A behind their name. And I think that letter is enough for parents and kids to look at and go, well, you know what, they're Junior A too. The other side of the coin too is being a Junior A team in the Junior A league, you get to compete for a national championship. And that's huge exposure for these kids. And that's another reason why the kids will go that way, for that opportunity. So.
Now, in terms of something that I bet you've been keeping track of as well as the big transition to pay to play.
Yeah, unfortunately, one of the issues that we have with our game in our country is the cost issue, and it's getting more and more and more expensive. There was a time when Junior B teams and Tier 2 Junior A teams could operate a budget without having to charge their players because the finances of the game were much less than they are today. The cost of the game is running kids out of the game and running them into other sports. But when you look at Junior B, there is a pay-to-play that's there now. I mean, they have the $350-some-odd fee for the OHA. They have the $750 fee for the GOJHL. Other teams will have different types of fundraisers and different types of sponsorship ideas, which is going to cost the player money or force the player to go out and do things for the team. It's just a much more expensive venture than it used to be. You have teams like the Cambridge Winterhawks, the Elmira Sugar Kings, again, I'll mention them, Stratford Culletons, that draw so well. They have a great fan base. Even when Cambridge was in their downtime, they're building themselves back up again right now. But when they went through a down phase, the fans still showed up. There's a great love for junior B hockey in Cambridge, and as there is in Elmira, and Caledonia walked into a junior C center, and they got their fans out, putting together a great product. But then you also have junior B teams that don't draw very well. On average, they draw as a league, GOJHL, much better than the junior A teams do. But again, that's the junior A teams in the OJHL, not the junior A teams in the Ottawa area. If you really want to take a look at hockey, and you want to call the GTA or Toronto the hockey, the center of the hockey universe, it's really a misnomer, because unless you're going to watch the Toronto Maple Leafs, every other venue is empty. The AHL, the Marlies, are half full, and that's a great hockey. You go and look at their Tier 2 junior A teams, and some of those teams competing for a national championship. They're great teams. They don't draw. So unless it's the Leafs, hockey doesn't draw in Toronto. You get to Ottawa, you get to Cambridge, you get to the GOJL Midwestern, you get to Niagara, you get out west in the Western Loop. They draw great. So it's just one area that just doesn't draw well, and that's historical. That's historical with hockey in that part of the world. So I'm sure if you're out there and you're listening and you're a GTA person, you probably hate me right now, but that's the truth. You just have to walk into a rink.
Thanks, Pete.